Hi here, this is ZAPY speaking again. We often bring the newest video and provide our fresh out of the oven comments. But today, I want to show an older video. Not now, 2 weeks ago, but seems to be old enough in this crazy news cycle. Everything just zoom by, travel at the speed of light. The video I'm talking about is the one right after the presidential election from 2 weeks ago, and one of our most often comment comedian, Stephen Colbert, he presented a very, very different speech from all the other video we reviewed before. And that's so different, it stuck to our head after 2 weeks even. And today we want to go back to revisit to understand why that's so memorable. They make such deep impression in our memory. Today with me again is Aaron. He will be showing the video and we want to say hi and take over from here.
All right, let's do it. Hello. All right, let's start up this video. So here we go. And starting it in 3, 2, 1.
So we all knew he would do this. What I didn't know is that it would hurt so much. I didn't expect this to break my heart. For him to cast a dark shadow on our most sacred right from the briefing room in the White House, our house, not his, that is devastating.
Okay, I just want to pause it for a second here. I want to talk about 3 things, maybe 2, 3 things. First of all, simplest thing to talk about. People don't realize how long you can pause. Like, I shouldn't say people don't realize. It's easy to not know how long you can pause for in a speech and still have it be impactful. He paused for like 10 seconds there. And granted, that is that's an unusually long pause. That's way longer than most speeches can get away with. But it's still worth noting because when he's pausing, the emotion that he's trying to instill or that he is instilling is the emotion he's presenting. Normally we think of a 10-second pause as awkward. If I pause right now for 10 seconds, someone would freak out. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a long time to pause for. And it gets really uncomfortable for everyone. That's why I had to start counting out loud, because it gets uncomfortable. But his pause, Stephen Colbert's pause, works well there because it's magnifying the emotion and it's showing that you can have incredibly long pauses and have them still be impactful. The second thing I want to mention is something I've talked about before. He's standing up. This makes a huge difference in terms of presence. All of a sudden, the camera isn't pointing down at him like it is at me right now. It's at eye level, and it feels like he is speaking to us from an equal position, an even position. It's not someone sitting at a desk and someone else at a different angle. It's someone speaking to you from an equal position, and it gives us a much better view of his body language, which was hugely impactful here because he's looking down. He's showing a lot of sadness with his body language. And that's part of why I always think standing is more important. I know I'm not standing right now. I'm going to be a hypocrite today, but that's fine. So he's doing something very different. And this brings me to my third point. He's doing different things. Normally what you expect from Stephen Colbert, high energy, lots of laughter, few pauses, sitting down, at least when he's working from home, sitting down. He's doing none of those things this time, and that's why it's impactful. That's why I remember this video longer than something else, because it's different. It's the same idea as if you have someone who never talks, when they all of a sudden say something is really exciting, but someone who talks all the time, if they say something else, you're bored. So those are the 3 main things I want to draw out so far.
The reason I was just the one reason to make me have such deep impression upon this video is how profound and how impactful he made in the 30 to 40 seconds. And I didn't think about all these technical things Aaron highlight. Now I listened, it all make a lot of sense. But what I do know is how he make me feel about the impactfulness. It could be in the timing, but I think it's the voice now. He used a much deeper tone than what he do in the other video. He's usually treble and higher pitch. The second thing is the way he's holding the chair. He looks tired. His face shows he's tired. He has all the reason to be tired. He has been commenting on the same topic for more than 4 years now.
Yeah.
He repeats the same thing every day for 4 years and still need to deal with it right after the election. So he's tired. Like many of people, we are tired. So that emotion goes through and that's impactful. And in that moment, it's really feeling. And that's what makes me remember that video. So what hang out here is the way he's holding the chair, so that's part of the body language. What we want to show for the next part of the video, there's some same connection of body language here, try to make his point really impactful and come across.
Yeah,
I would like to show of how he did in the second half.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going here. So, all right.
This is heartbreaking for the same reason that I didn't want him to get COVID. Certainly why I wanted him to survive, because he is the president of the United States. That office means something, and that office should have some shred of decency. Now, we always knew he would leave a stain there, and not just from his butt bronzer, because everything he did, everything, is now in some way presidential behavior, including this, unless every single person rejects what he just did. And that means for all the predictable behavior of the last few days and the last 4 years, right now something unpredictable needs to happen.
Okay. Could go on, but I think this is a good place to stop it for now. There's two things I want to mention. I know Young Friend wants to mention them too, so I'm going to mention them first because I'm mean. But the first thing of those two, when we talk about body language, another great reason to stand up is so you can move. So what he does is when he's getting to the point where he wants us to do, well, not really us. I'm Canadian, so it doesn't really, there's nothing I can do to help him. But when he wants his audience to do something, he steps forward. By stepping forward, it creates a different feel. It creates this feeling of intimacy, right? Getting closer to someone saying, I need you to do this. Makes it feel a lot more personal. It makes it feel like there's so much more of a connection, and it changes the tone. He goes from leaning on his chair to all of a sudden being close to his audience. And it makes it feel like we're in a different part of the presentation now. In the beginning, it's him lamenting the situation. Now he's moved forward, we're in a different position. He's telling us how to get out of it, which was really nicely done. The other thing I want to mention outside of body language, he does a bunch of other interesting body language things, like uses his hand, he breaks eye contact intentionally a couple times. Those are really nice. The one other thing I want to mention is he does a nice bit of, I don't know what they call it, dichotomy, juxtaposition, whatever. He compares predictable and unpredictable, saying that what we've seen now is predictable. What we need now is unpredictable. And I thought that was a nice use of content or word choice, mixed with a nice change in voice where he's gotten even more serious, where it's much sharper what he's saying. So he's mixing together that match of predictable and unpredictable with a sharpness in his voice that I think makes it seem much more intense, and like it's no longer him complaining, it's now him stating a course of action. So it was a nice transition and a nice use of word choice and content to give a different emotional feeling, plus that body language.
Yeah, that is really true. So that it's just within these 2 minutes, even he went from showing his emotion to call for action. And if people load the video a bit down the road, you will see what specific he's calling, and you can go in and look. But then there's some technique he used here when he do the call for action, which is the pointing part. A pointing finger is a very powerful body language, but he didn't do that to that direct way. He pointed downwards to the table when he was talking to each point. And that point downwards is almost like, okay, this is point 1, 2, 3 people he's asking for, and they can do to make a difference. So all this get together on his tone. The body language is also matched with his tone there. He's like United States, and that the emphasis, he pull back his body and then pronounce the words. The whole package just make this simple word become some meaning, which that's his idea of, this thing means something. It's not just for people to throw around. So, and that all together is just a very, very nice presentation speech. Again, I think that's his real emotion finally coming out after all these years. I started watching him around 5 years ago when he just began this show. I just see him talking about the same thing. I was like, how can a human do that? That's incredible.
Yeah, talking about the same thing for 5 years would be brutal. I mean, I teach classes where I repeat a lot of content, but it's different students each time, so it's engaging in different ways. But this would be the slog. I can't do that kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's probably a nice place to wrap things up here. And I think the main takeaway that I would give is that difference, variation is critical. And it's even, we've talked about it comparing Stephen Colbert's previous speaking to the speaking he's doing now, but doing it within an individual presentation is important too. If for 80% of your speech, you're really goofy and silly, and then for the last 20%, or even 20% in the middle, you go really serious on your audience, that 20% will stick out and be memorable. And this is just an excellent example of using two very different styles of speaking to make different things stand out and seem more important. So that was really well done. And I think that's worth learning, is to use differences, variations, to make the most important ideas pop for your audience.
Do you know what can be more impactful? It's his nutshell on that TV. He's like, that's the end. I said, I'm done, dropping the mic. But that didn't happen. But that could be it. If that happened, he just walk out, and that would be the legendary moment.
And once again, because it's different from anything else he's ever done before. So same idea.
Same idea. I was like, how can we be more dramatic? Because it feels like an end of something when I was watching that video, but then they go back to the old business, continue every day.
Yeah. I mean, if it was, that would have been the ultimate dramatic ending, but I also think that he's got to save that one for the next big thing. He's been talking about this for 4 years. He's got to save that for something new. All right.
Okay.
Either way, interesting discussion. It's a video worth looking at and studying, especially in comparison to the other things he's done. But I think that's all for now. So thank you very much for your time. Stay fishy out there, people.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Looking forward to see you next time. Here's ZAPY speaking.